Hello! Today I'm going to read part 3 of this book that's called The Jaws of Death. And I'm at chapter 6. I need to find chapter 6 here. Chapter 6, The Last Red Sea. I'm going to read this book for you now, and I hope you enjoy it, okay? Now I'm going to read. When Kwans-Su had finished gazing at the sea of gels, he walked around the giant pestle and mortar and wondered how on earth he could carry them back down the mountain and across the plains to Yunnan. He sat down beside them to think the matter over while the great genie chuckled away. "Take them if you can, boy," said one, testing him. "And why not fill the mortar with previous stones while you are at it? For any man who can carry it empty can carry it full." Kwans-Su sat there thinking he hadn't studied for 3 years with the wisest master in the land for nothing. Besides, he was destined to marry Ling Ling. He closed his eyes, then he saw both of their faces and that of his mother and father. All four of them were smiling and nurturing him. "Be brave, be strong, be wise." Kwans-Su's ears had been close to the genie while he talked, but slowly their words filtered through to his brain. "Fill the mortar with previous stones," one had said. And suddenly Kwans-Su realized why he had been given 5 little red seeds rather than 4. "Would you do me a favor?" he asked the younger genie. "Would you make a heap of stones at the side of my mortar?" "Why?" asked his friend. "I want to look inside it, and I'm not tall enough to see over the rim." "I will," replied the genie, and he began to build some steps for the young man to climb. Meanwhile, Kwans-Su ran down to the water and began stuffing his pockets with diamonds and rubies and emeralds and pearls. When he gathered up as many as he could carry, he ran back to the mountain, climbed the steps the young genie had made for him, and dropped the previous stones into the mortar again and again. He did this until it was quite full, and he held enough gems to make him the richest man in China, richer even than the oldest, most powerful mandarin. When Kwans-Su had filled the mortar so full that he couldn't fill in one more stone, he stood back and looked at the bowl of treasure. "So what are you going to do with it now, boy?" asked one of the mighty genie, watching him. "Take it on your head and carry it home." "No," replied the boy with a smile. "I shall carry it under my one arm, for if I have the power to make rivers smaller," he thought, "I must also have the powers to shrink this ball of jade." He took out his little box, dropped the last red sea on top of the previous stones, and it happened just as he'd hoped. The pestle and mortar shrank all in the instant to normal size. Kwans-Su picked up the pestle and slipped it into his pocket. Then he lifted the mortar as carefully as he could so as not to spill the previous stones. "Goodbye," he said, bowing to the surprised genie, "and thank you for allowing me take home so many of your riches." And off he went. he heard a mighty roar as if 150 slices were waiting to be fed. The genie were very angry at being tricked and at losing so much of their treasure, but they knew better than to stop Kwans-Su, for only he had the power to turn their 4 tiny streams back into mighty rivers. Chapter 7, Ling Ling. Now I'm going to read the book, okay? Chapter 7, Ling Ling. On his way back, the boy did exactly as he had promised. He jumped across the first rock tree, one of the white seeds his mother had given him, into the water, and in instantly it turned back into a terrible, inky black river, a mile wide, and mighty fire-breathing dragon on a rock in the middle, and the roars of the genie went quiet, and they saw the black river rolling once more between them and the outside world. At the Red River, the alligators wanted to get their revenge on Kwans-Su, but the boy, once he had returned the water to its natural state, was just about to keep clear of their snapping jaws. At the White River and the Blue River, Kwans-Su did the same, and from that day to this, no one else has been ever been to the home of the genie, because not a single person can cross even one of the powerful rivers. For 7 more days the boy walked on and came at last to his parents' home in Yocha. They were delighted to see their son safe and well. And when he gave his mother a previous stone for every seed she'd given him, a diamond, a ruby, and a belt, and a sapphire, each as large as an egg, they were all over the moon. He went on then to Yunnan to find Ling Ling. "Go away, boy," hissed the girl mother. When she opened the door, he saw who it was. "You are too late." "What do you mean too late?" cried Kwans-Su. "I have crossed 4 mighty rivers, climbed the highest mountains, faced 8 angry genii, and fetched you back the jade pestle and mortar asked for, the very last one in the world. And not only that, old woman," he said, pulling out piles of previous stones from his pocket, "but I have brought you these. Look, I'm now richer than the rich old mandarin. How dare I say I'm not fit to marry your daughter?" "Oh dear," said the woman, "I all confused. I never thought you stood a chance." But Kwans-Su, and she dropped her voice to a whisper, "You must leave now, for all my friends are here in the garden. They have come for Ling Ling's marriage to the old mandarin." "Today?" the boy gasped. "Yes, today," the woman told him. And are they married yet?" The woman has silenced them. "Then tell me," hissed Kwans-Su. "You must tell me." Not yet," the woman admitted. "The wedding is just beginning." Kwans-Su pushed past her and raced out into the garden. "Stop!" he yelled. People turned to look, and Ling Ling almost fainted when she saw who it was. "Kwans-Su! Kwans-Su!" she cried. "My mother told me you were dead." And she rushed towards him, throwing herself into his arms. But Ling Ling's mother was at the boy's side. "Go away before everyone sees you," she hissed. "The old mandarin will be furious with me, and all my guests will think I'm a fool. Leave quickly, Kwans-Su, and I will buy the jade pistol and mortar from you with some of the money he has given me." "No," yelled Kwans-Su, who suddenly knew what to do. He pulled out the very last little white seed dropped into the mortar, which grew in size instantly. It filled the plot of grass beneath the peach tree and was full of glittering gems. Then Kwans-Su climbed up into the tree, pulling rubies and diamonds and all kinds of precious stones from the giant mortar and throwing them down all among the waiting guests. Some stood and stared, but a few ran about, grabbing as many as they could, and the most frantic of all was the monkey-faced mandarin, who turned his back on Ling Ling. Ling Ling pushed people out of the way and scrabbled around on the grass to find every last jewel. "How greedy he is," said the others. "Watching you, couldn't think to look at him, and that he's already one of the richest men in the land, and that even his triceps are set with diamonds." Kwans-Su went to the greedy old mandarin and offered him his 3 largest rubies, and each of the size of a hen egg, if he would go away and say nothing about marrying ever again. And the old mandarin, who cared much more for riches than for love, agreed. Kwans-Su and Ling Ling were married soon after the city where his mother and father lived. Most of the treasure Kwans-Su had brought back from the Sea of Gems were given the poor of the city, and he and his young wife were as happy as they could be. That was all for this book, and this book was good, fun, easy to read, and interesting, and my best character. I do not know who my best character is. And bye-bye.